Hi, today I am going to be starting a new project, and this project is a little bit different than my regular projects in that I have a background already established. It was pre-made on the board. I'm repurposing one of those boards that I bought from Hobby Lobby, but so it's going to work to my advantage because I want to elevate the piece that I'm working on. So what I'm working on is a big daisy, and she's going to have her lady friend with her, her ladybug. And so I'm going to do that by using this craft foam. Now this is what I also refer to as acetate. And the reason I call it acetate is because it is a bipolymer acetate product. But instead of calling it that, I will just call it acetate. But this product is used in the, I know I've told a lot of you guys this before, but it is used in Hollywood for costume designers. It's also used in what's called cosplay. So if you have kids who are into comic books and costume play with those comic books, then I'm sure you have seen this product. And so it's also known as EVA foam. I mean, it has a lot of different names, but for my purpose, I took a large sheet. It was 12 by 18 in pure white, and this is going to be a white daisy, so this is an advantage, but I am going to end up painting it as well. And they don't sell sheets that are self-adhesive in that size, so I have this special glue that I'm using. This is called Foam Fusion, and I bought this at a hobby store. It's not cheap, but what is these days? But it is specially made for this type of product, and so I have used regular glue to good effect, but you know, if I have the chance to use the better quality product, then I am going to do that. So I am just randomly putting glue all over the place on this, making sure that the edges are going to be stuck down really well, and that I have enough glue. I don't want to have too much because I don't want it seeping out, and I have noticed if you put too much glue on anything, it tends to work to your disadvantage rather than your advantage. So once this is on here, I am going to stick this onto the background. And the background is a fabric background, which I actually thought it was a print when I purchased the thing, and I went to sand it off. I took it out to the shed, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is not. And this is the board that I'm going to be using. This is actually fabric. And so I said, all right, I'm going to keep that because that's really wonderful, and I want to make sure that I can utilize that. So this is one of those pieces where the background and the board actually inspired the piece that I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this, you can see all the glue that I put on the back of it, and I am going to stick it directly to the fabric. I always like to kind of have it not quite in exactly the right place so that I can smooth it a little bit. Looks like it's just a little bit bigger than it needs to be, which is not a problem. And I have this roller here that I have had for many, many years. And I'm just going to roll it on here to get that even glue all over the place and get that going. This area on the top that you can see, I don't know if you can see it. Let me get this over here. But there's this area on the top that's sticking out. I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife and cut it. Very simple, easy solution to a not so difficult problem. So I'm going to cut that off. And so my flower will end right there. And then as you can see, there are a couple of petals that the original foam piece does not reach. And so for those, I actually cut separate pieces of the acetate, and I'm just going to glue them on in the other areas. Now, the couple of reasons why I'm doing this One is, again, I want to keep the background intact. And I also like the idea of the flower petals being off the canvas. So, you know, it gives more dimension to the piece and allows me to add a lot of depth to it. So I'm going to stick that down, and then this one needs glue, and so does this other one. So I'm gonna glue these down. And then once this is glued down, I am gonna try to put pressure on it. I'm gonna kind of just put a lot of weight on it, let it sit for a few hours. That way no air bubbles have a chance to seep underneath and into the piece, because we want it to have a really good adhesion. And I think the fabric is actually going to be a big help when it comes to that. What I am going to have to be careful of, though, is when I do my glue technique, which, as you know, is a lot of water, and I might not do that technique to this one. I don't want any of that glue seeping onto the fabric because it'll probably stain it. And so we want to be careful of that. So I was thinking that with this particular project, I would do something a little bit different, and I'll probably end up gluing all the beads down one by one. This is going to be my ladybug. A little unique here, but I already cut it out, and she is going to be three-dimensional. You can see there's multiple layers that I already glued overnight, and I put them in the vise to put some pressure on them. And so this little guy is going to go right here. I'm going to stick this on here, and then I'm going to smooth this area out with some other products that I want to use, and this will be ready to go in a little bit. So we'll pick up this piece here in a little while, and we will continue with the design of Daisy's lady. Okay, so we're back with our Daisy, and I want to make this ladybug smoother. So I've made 3 layers because I wanted to have some depth to it and some height, but I also want it to be lightweight. I don't want to add to the weight of this. So I have this product. It's called Air Dry Foam Clay. Now this is actually the same stuff that this is made out of, except it is in a flexible form. I have not used this before, so this is going to be my first time. You guys are with me as guinea pigs to see how I use this stuff. But I bought this a while ago. Hobby Lobby puts it on sale, like, God, I don't know, once every 6 months or something. It's only 20% off. It's not super expensive stuff, and I heard it's really awesome. And I watched a YouTube video on how to use it. Now this is black. I bought black, not anticipating using it for this project, and they didn't have white when I bought it, although it comes in white. But it is paintable, so I'm just going to paint it. No big deal. And so here I am opening this guy up, and it's very gooey, which I read that that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, well, there we go. Look at that. And it's just a lightweight clay. And I'm going to take my jewelry off because I have big jewelry on and I don't want it to get in my rings and stuff. And it is in these plastic baggies. And it is a workable foam clay that is, you can make it to any shape you want. Once it's dry, you can sand it, you can paint it, you can do whatever you want. So let's do this. I should probably have an apron on, which I usually do when I paint, but I'm not going to need very much of this because my goal for this, oh, this is kind of cool. Okay, well, here's a little piece. I'm going to put this down. I think I'm making quite a mess. But anyway, this is what this is. It's kind of sticky, but look at that. It picks up right away, so it doesn't really make as much of a mess as it looks like it will. It looks like it's picking this stuff up right away. And this is how they use this acetate to make costumes. All those armors and things that you see in Hollywood, they use this stuff in order to make it. So it is a super lightweight thing. It's slimy, but it's not gross. I mean, you know, whatever. So anyway, the video told me that I need some water to put on the existing foam so that this will stick to it. So I'm just going to take some water, and I'm only putting this on the ladybug. I don't want this on everything. So I'm just going to do this. It looks like it's pretty easy stuff to use, because all I want to do is smooth these edges so that I can make this 3D. And then we can put the product on like this. And smooth it out. Oh, look at that. That comes out pretty easily. Put that back in with his buddies. And the water is going to get it to stick. And then once it's dry, I can go ahead and paint it. So I'm just sticking it on here. And I could also sand it if I want to or need to. They said don't put too much water. It looks like I did, because then it would not be so nice, but it looks like it's working pretty well. Now, I've done this process with plaster of Paris before, and it works just fine. But I had this product and I thought I would try it and see how it worked out. It looks like it's actually working pretty well. Looks a little bit, I don't know, I think it mentally feels worse than it looks or than it is. But yeah, this is, see, I'm smoothing it out so that I don't have any lumps. And then this is going to be the dome of the ladybug. And I think that's going to come out pretty cool, actually, now that I'm looking at this. So this also needs to dry for 24 hours before I can do anything with it. So I won't be able to touch the ladybug, but that doesn't mean I can't work on other parts of this project that have to do with beads and all that stuff. So, but I also need to prime the other parts of this, so I'll probably do that and let them all dry at the same time. I don't try to rush anything when I'm working. I know this is going to take me a few days to do this project, so but that's it. That is the acetate in foam form, and if you want to do 3D pieces and sculpting, I think this is a really good way to go. I heard you can just get a Dremel and Dremel it or sand it by hand or whatever. I'll show you that process when we get to it. So there we go. There's that. I think I put too much water. Be careful you don't make the same mistake. But now you know what it is. It's this air dry foam clay. Okay, I'm back. This was yesterday's project, and now I'm going to sand this stuff. It dried hard, but it does have a little bit of give, just like the foam. It feels just like the regular stuff. So I'm gonna sand this. It looks like it's gonna sand very easily. This is a little sander that I keep inside. It's just a handheld one. I got it at Walmart. It's been super, super convenient for doing little jobs like this. And I don't have to sand this too much and make it perfect because it is going to be covered with beads. So I don't want to overdo my effort when a lot of the imperfections are not going to be seen anyway. So just going to do this a little bit to make it a little bit smoother of a transition up this ladybug's body. And that's about all it looks like I need to do here. And then instead of blowing on this, because this is kind of toxic stuff, I'm just going to use the vacuum real quick to suck up the area around it. Now the only other thing I'm going to do is paint it white, put primer on it so that when I'm ready to put the beads on it, it's ready to go. And then we're going to continue working on this together. So you can watch this Daisy's lady come together. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of paint for my reference points so that when I'm setting the beads, I'll know where color transitions and stuff need to happen. So I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow in here. And then you don't want the white to pop through, and on the really, really dark beads, that tends to happen. So if you put some color behind it, then when you put those really dark beads on there, those holes won't be noticeable. Now you have to be careful as well that you don't want to change the color of the bead that you're using by putting color underneath it. So you kind of have to experiment with it and know what you're using. I know the types of beads that I intend to use in this area, and they are opaque, so that won't affect the color background for this, which is what I'm kind of counting on. So this is going to be like a dark purple center, and then I'm going to change it up a little bit with more of kind of a purple lavender to give a little bit of shading on where the petals come out. Now, I don't know exactly if this is going to work the way I want it to, but let's see how it goes, right? Nice thing about paint is it's never permanent and it can always be switched around. So I'm just going to feather these out. Okay, that's pretty much all I can do for now until all this paint is dry. And I want to leave it for a couple hours before I touch it. And then I also need to work on this ladybug. Even though this video doesn't cover the entire project, I wanted to show you how this turned out. Here's that raised ladybug that we worked on earlier, and here is what the petals look like when they're raised off the base canvas.